What up, though? Welcome back to Woodward Heavyweights live on WoodwardSports.com. I'm your boy Easy Jump, my man Spin More Racks.
What up, though?
That is the impersonations of Dan Campbell. That you guys are, that's your competition. So if you guys, I see you in the Woodward Sports chat, you say that stuff stinks.
Yeah, you say
and if you think you do better, submit your video. You're getting front row tickets for it, bro. Yeah. We are joined.
The fist one was good.
The fist one was pretty good.
See this fist? I'll make one.
My guy, Matt Falk, One Bar. For the One Bar on his YouTube channel for the Minnesota Vikings.
Close enough, man. Close enough.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
What's up, man? How'd you feel about those Dan Campbell impersonations?
That's actually genius. I got to do that for some Viking. I got to do that contest because that's beautiful. I want to submit my Dan Campbell.
Can you do one now? Yeah, you want to do one now?
I'm gonna do some up downs back here or what?
Yeah.
Take my shirt off. I'm not wearing my shirt if I do it.
There you go. That's what it's all about. We might get flagged for nudity, but it's all right. We can deal with that. So I have the first question. I think, obviously we're going to get right into it about the trade. TJ Hockenson going to Minnesota. My first question, it's really the one thing that explains it to me, is TJ Hockenson kind of looks like a Viking. So do you think that's why Minnesota went out there and targeted him and brought him in?
He's a new mascot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt that's why they threw in another pick just to make sure. You're absolutely right. This guy was made. He was born to be a Viking, man. He looks just like the logo. It's beautiful.
Matt, in all seriousness, no, Lions fans, we seem divided on the trade. A lot of us don't like the interdivision trade, but how is it looking on the Vikings front? How do you feel personally about the trade? Who do you think won, and I guess everything about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be on the Vikings side and not get excited about this. We're 6-1. We need everything we can. We need all the weapons we can. The funny part is Hockenson was never even mentioned. I mean, the Vikings were Brandon Cooks, other receivers, but Hockenson never was. So it was a complete shock to Viking world and Vikings fans. If they say otherwise, they're full of it. But to add another piece to this team, generally, what gets me the most excited is Vikings lately have been making trades when they're not good, and they're trying to get good. So the fact that they add this piece to it, and along with our defense that it seems to be a little suspect, we're gonna have to score as many points as possible. Herb Smith has that high ankle sprain; he's gonna be out for a while. So it's tough not to get excited about it. So I definitely love the trade. The best part about it is the salary cap. I mean, we're not paying him much this year. They're going to have to figure some stuff out next year and whatever his future holds. But I love it. I love everything about it. We haven't used our tight end much. Irv Smith has been a little bit of a bust, and he's hurt again. So it's awesome. He's going to be our number 2 option right off the bat, right behind Jefferson. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and that's I also want to talk about the interdivision trading. That's the second trade the Lions and Vikings have made this year. Obviously, the first one was on draft day. The Lions traded with the Vikings to move up and get a guy that was widely thought of as the best receiver in the draft in Jameson Williams. He hasn't been on the field yet to show that acumen, but are you comfortable with that? A lot of people, I'm not on that camp. I think if you can get the best deal, you go get the best deal. I don't care I don't care if it's your neighbor or whatever, just not the Packers, but are you cool with them trading with the Lions like that multiple times in a season, or does it not really bother you?
It's different for me because if it was a player, if it was a player that we loved, it was younger, and we traded him, I'd feel differently. With the Vikings so far, we've just traded draft picks, and yeah, you're going to get players, and I'm sure Williams is going to be fantastic, but it's a little bit different because you don't have that emotional tie to him. So from my side, I could care less. I mean, the Lions, everything I'm seeing, the Lions are kind of getting hit with why would you do this trade? Why would you do it? But not to be a dick by any means, but if I'm the Lions, I would look at this I wouldn't care, because even if Hockenson comes out and rips us a new one the next year or two, it's not like he's dashing your Super Bowl dreams.
Yeah.
It's you guys are going to be in the midst of getting better, getting draft picks. So it's kind of the perfect scenario for me. So I think the Lions actually made out pretty well on this.
Yeah. Do you think the Lions got fleeced in this one? Do you think it's who won the trade in your eyes?
Well, that'll be determined in about 5 years to see who you guys get. But I mean, right off the bat, the thing that wouldn't sit, the one thing that wouldn't sit well with me if I'm the Lions is the draft picks. If the Vikings can keep this up, do the math, I mean, it's going to be a later second-round pick.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, it looks like it's going to be probably a really early fourth-round pick. So initially, the Vikings will win. There's no way around it. But long-term, we'll see. I would say the Vikings will win it if they somehow figure out to keep Hockenson here more than 1-2 years. But they're going to have to pay him after 2 years, and that's where it'll get dicey.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask about. Hockenson does have next year. He's got an option, his fifth-year option. It's $9.3 million. But after that, he's looking at contracts. People call him a top 10 tight end in the league, possibly top 5 if he's used correctly. So he's looking at a $13-14 million a year contract. Would you be willing, or would you like to see your franchise go out there, spend the money on him, and have him be a Viking long term?
Well, we'll see. I mean, right now, Kirk Cousins is here for a couple more years, too, and they appear to be completely all in this year. So if it fails this year or next year, it's just a complete crap show. No, I don't see them also dishing out a bunch of money to a 27, 28-year-old tight end. So this could be a 2-year rental. I mean, we'll see where we're at. I'd love to say that we're going to be a couple Super Bowls deep, but we all know that probably isn't going to happen.
Yeah, cap space isn't like a real thing anyway. I'll never forget the New Orleans Saints were like in debt this season, and then they sign Andy Dalton, another guard. Like,
they cut a bunch of people.
I don't even think they do it. They just rearrange the money. Like, it's the cap situation is just even the Rams. Look what they did too. They're cap strapped. They're like, re-sign Stafford. Yeah. All right, Allen Robinson, you can join the super team now too. Like,
Bobby Wagner, we'll take you too.
Yeah. It's just like what? Like, yeah. I just don't even know if I believe in the cap anymore. But how much of an upgrade do you see T.J. Hockenson being over in Irv Smith, and how you see it affecting the other guys like Dalvin Cook and maybe Adam Thielen now too? Well, obviously Justin Jefferson, but he's going to ball either way.
Yeah, Thielen's he's starting to show his age a little bit. I mean, it's not like he's bad by any means, but like I said, I think Hockenson comes in and will be that number 2 receiving option. And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but he appears to be a pretty decent blocker as well, which will help a lot. So I think it will be a big upgrade. Irv, they've been throwing him the ball. I mean, he hasn't done fantastic. They've only thrown to the tight end like 20% of the time or something. They rank like 20-something with that, so hopefully they're getting more looks. But I think it will upgrade the offense quite a bit, and I'm not just drinking the purple Kool-Aid. I mean, we got Johnny Munt at tight end, so it's a huge upgrade. I mean, like I said, ask me again in a couple of years to see who you guys get with these picks.
Yeah, that was the Hockenson truthers in Detroit. I say he wasn't used correctly in Detroit. He was never let free. It was never Hawkins season, and we saw Kirk Cousins doesn't favor his tight ends. We saw Kyle Rudolph's production decrease a lot when Kirk Cousins was introduced as the starter. We see, Irv Smith, when healthy, when in there, he doesn't get as much action. Like you said, 20% of the time they're being targeted in passes. Are you nervous at all if Kirk Cousins will use his shiny new toy enough, or if they'll be able to kind of unlock Hockenson as a player?
Those guys aren't Hawk.
Yeah, I mean,
you said Irv Smith was better than Hawk.
I'm not going to let the stats get in the way. We need a big red zone target. If this helps open things up for Dalvin Cook in the running game, play action, this helps open things up for our third receiver, KJ Osborne. It might be some things like that behind the scenes. We'll see. I mean, clearly I want him to put up some numbers and get some touchdowns and scare the crap out of opposing linebackers and stuff. But I'm not going to let the stats get me, because I do know, I mean, even Kevin O'Connell has never really talks up his tight end. So, which again makes this trade even more surprising when it happened. Yeah,
I guess real quick too before we let you go, how are you feeling about the Kevin O'Connell hire now? You guys are 6-1 heading into the season, number 1 in the NFC North. The future look bright? Or you guys, because you guys had some close ones too. I know, a couple clutch turnovers for you guys led to victories. You had the close one against the Saints and Andy Dalton. Obviously, the close one against us and at your place. You still feel how you feel about Kevin O'Connell so far?
Hey man, 6-1, you can't complain. The Vikings, whoever their coach is, it's always going to come down to the end. That's why we're all bold. That's we're all raging alcoholics, because that's just the way it is. The
Drinking
thing with
the mead.
The thing with O'Connell, he hasn't really faced much adversity yet. He hasn't had that gross blowout loss or gone on 2 or 3 losing games in a row. So that's where we're going to really see the true colors. But it's tough not to get excited. I do got to mention your boy Flannel Sam really knocked me down a few pegs on some of those Hockenson stats. So that wasn't very polite.
Yeah, it's when
He's
you look,
a legend killer.
If you look at
That's what
just
we
the
call him around
stats,
here.
it's pretty
That's my
comparable
dreams, man.
to Logan Thomas and Brandon Pettigrew, but I do think he's a
Logan
better
Thomas
player
is
than
for
those
1
guys.
year.
But so is Hawkinson's. But you look at
Hockenson proved to be better though.
from an outsider's perspective, I just want to get this out of you before we let you go. Dan Campbell, first season kind of went as expected. Rookie head coach, didn't have a lot around him. Kind of a disaster. And this year it's looking similar. It looks like they're making the same mistakes. If this was your head coach, if this was your team, your franchise, would you be calling for Dan Campbell's head? Would you want to see him come back for another year, or what would you do if that was your head coach?
Man, if that's my head coach, I don't think I'd ever want to see him leave. And we had the similar coach with Mike Tice, and everybody loved Tice. So I mean, you can kind of compare the two, but especially after watching Hard Knocks, how can you not love this guy? It would be very, very tough. He would be yanking on my heartstrings. So as of now, I wouldn't be calling for his head yet. I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, has he had a fair chance?
The roster's not great. Especially on defense. I'll give him that.
Yeah, so I would honestly probably give him another year. I mean, let him do it again. But he's, like I said, he's a tough guy not to love. Out there doing the workouts with him, and Hard Knocks has a lot to do with it because everybody loves him. I don't know. Is everybody wanting him Gonzo?
Some people
are calling for
but
it.
it's a microwave generation. You know how people are these days.
I'm on it now. You got to give him I hate when coaches get fired after 2 years, even 3 years. I mean, let that stuff play out. I mean, if it's a complete disaster, that's one thing. But I don't know. I hope to see him in the division longer.
Yeah, I agree.
It's because you beat us.
It's because you beat us. I would too if I was not.
Hey, you guys will get us in the next game. I bet you will. I mean, it always.
Yeah.
I like that.
Did give him his first win.
You're not going to get a touchdown against you, but you might get the dub.
We might get. All right. Well, we appreciate you for joining us, man. Before we let you go, shout out your channel, shout out what you're doing, where people can find you, and if they want to keep tabs with the Hawken experience in Minnesota, where they can listen to you.
Yeah, you guys come on after his first horrible game, and we say how it is. So
yeah.
Hit us up on YouTube, One Bar and Lupagus Show. On YouTube, we're doing a daily Viking show. We're going live tonight. We drink some beers. We're very realistic. We don't drink a ton of purple Kool-Aid. We just drink a little bit.
There you go.
I gotta say, after your intro talking about Cinemax and those two lovely ladies, I might have a busy night by myself tonight.
Hell yeah! That's all I like to hear, brother. Let's go.
Thanks,
all right,
Matt.
Well, we appreciate you. That is Matt Falk of the One Bar and Lupagus Show, all about the Vikings. Great to have him on for a second time.